It's a difficult conversation to have, isn't it, talking about erections? Especially as we get a bit older, it feels very personal, maybe even a little embarrassing. For many men over 60, experiencing changes in their ability to get or keep an erection is a quiet source of worry. It can affect confidence, intimacy, and just generally make you feel less like yourself. We often attribute it solely to age, or maybe to underlying health issues like heart disease or diabetes. And yes, those things absolutely play a role. But what if I told you there might be something else contributing? Something you might be doing without even realizing it. Something that's become such a routine, ingrained habit that you wouldn't even suspect it. It's a kind of hidden issue, a silent saboteur. And as someone who's spent my career as a penis surgeon, I've seen how it affects men in a way that often goes undiscussed. It's a mistake, a common one during solo time. That can actually work against your natural ability to get hard when you want to. In this video, we're going to talk openly about this specific mistake and why it's so detrimental. And more importantly, what you can do about it. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you. Now, let's talk about this mistake. It often stems from how we masturbate, particularly as we age or as we start noticing changes in our erections. It's a completely natural part of life, masturbation, and it can be a healthy way to maintain sexual function and release tension. But sometimes, without realizing it, the way we go about it changes. We might start seeking a very specific, often very intense, level of stimulation to achieve orgasm. Perhaps it's using a lot more pressure than you used to, or focusing on a very narrow, particular area, or using lubricants in a way that creates very high friction, or even relying on specific devices that provide an extreme sensation. Think about it. Over the years, maybe you found that the old ways don't seem to work as quickly or as reliably as they once did, so you unconsciously adapt. You might find yourself needing a very specific grip, a certain speed, or an intense level of pressure that feels necessary to get things going or to reach that point of release. This isn't necessarily a conscious decision. It's often an adaptation born out of frustration or perceived necessity. The problem arises when this specific, intense method becomes the only way your system learns to respond strongly. Your brain and your penis are incredibly adaptable. But that adaptability can sometimes work against you when you repeatedly provide a very high level of artificial, focused stimulation, much more intense or localized than what might typically happen during partnered sex or even during natural arousal. Your body and brain can become conditioned to only respond optimally to that specific, high-level input. It's like turning the volume up on a radio channel so high that you can no longer hear any other stations clearly. Your system gets used to that maximum volume, and everything else sounds too quiet to register effectively. This is where the concept of sensory adaptation comes in. It's a normal physiological process where your sensory receptors become less responsive to a constant stimulus. For example, when you put on a shirt in the morning, you notice how it feels for a moment, but then you stop thinking about it. Your touch receptors adapt. The same thing can happen with the nerve endings in your penis. If they are constantly subjected to a very high level of intense, focused pressure or friction during masturbation, they can become less sensitive over time to milder, more varied stimulation. Your brain, which is also involved in processing these signals and coordinating the erectile response, also gets wired to expect that specific, intense signal. It learns that this specific, high-pressure, rapid-fire stimulation equals arousal and erection, and other, more natural signals, like those from gentle touch, kissing, or even just romantic feelings, might not be enough to trigger a full response anymore. You're inadvertently training your body to be a specialist in responding to one very narrow type of input, making it less of a generalist that can respond to the wider, more varied inputs of intimacy or even just natural, spontaneous desire. This habit, this reliance on highly specific, intense stimulation, is the silent killer we're talking about. It's not that masturbation itself is bad, it's how it's sometimes done. Particularly when chasing a result with increasing urgency, that can create this unintended consequence, making it harder and harder to achieve and maintain a firm erection outside of that very specific context. It sets an unnaturally high bar for what's required to get things working. So, you find yourself in a situation where achieving a satisfying erection during solo time requires a level of effort, pressure, or a specific technique that is often impractical or undesirable during partnered sex. And because your system has become calibrated to this high threshold, when you are with a partner, the natural, loving touch and stimulation might not be enough to trigger a full erection. This can be incredibly frustrating and confusing. You might think, I can get hard on my own, so why can't I with my partner? Is it performance anxiety? Is it my partner? Is it something else entirely? While anxiety and other factors certainly play a role, this habit of relying on overly intense, specific masturbation techniques is a physiological factor that many men overlook. It creates a kind of erectile dysfunction that is self-induced through habit. Rather than being purely caused by disease or age, your penis itself might be healthy. The blood flow pathways potentially still functional. But the switch, the nerve signals and brain response, has been retrained to require an unrealistic level of input. The constant seeking of that specific, intense feeling can also create a mental dependency. Your mind starts associating sexual release solely with that particular method, making it harder to relax and respond to other forms of stimulation. It's a cycle. Erections are harder to get naturally, so you rely more on the intense method during masturbation, which further reinforces the need for intense stimulation, making natural erections even harder. It's a downward spiral that happens subtly, over time, almost without you noticing until the problem is significant. The good news is, because this is a learned habit, it's something that can often be unlearned. It takes patience and a willingness to change your approach. But it is absolutely possible to recalibrate your system. It's about teaching your penis and brain to become responsive again to a broader, more natural range of sensations, and lowering that artificially high threshold that the intense masturbation technique has created. Now, how do you begin to address this? The key is what we might call sensory retraining. It's about deliberately changing your masturbation habits to break that reliance on intense, specific stimulation. The goal isn't necessarily to stop masturbating, but to change how you do it. Start by reducing the pressure you use. If you typically use a very firm grip, try using a looser one. Experiment with different levels of pressure, paying attention to how different sensations feel without the singular focus on achieving maximum intensity. Vary your speed and rhythm. Instead of a fast, repetitive motion, try slower, more deliberate strokes. Explore different areas of the penis. Don't just focus on one spot. Use a different type of lubricant, or less lubricant, or even none sometimes, to experience different tactile sensations. The idea is to reintroduce variability and lower the overall intensity, allowing your nerve endings and brain to become more sensitive again to gentler, more natural inputs. Think of it like turning the volume down on that loud radio channel. At first, the other stations might still seem quiet, but as you keep the volume lower, your ears adjust, and you start being able to hear the other channels more clearly. Your nervous system works similarly. Another important aspect is to shift your focus from purely achieving orgasm to experiencing pleasure. Often, when we're struggling with erections, masturbation becomes very goal-oriented. It's all about getting and maintaining the erection long enough to finish. This can add pressure and anxiety, which are counterproductive. Instead, approach masturbation with a mindset of exploration and pleasure. What feels good? What sensations are present? Slow down and savor the experience without the urgent need to reach a specific endpoint. This can help retrain your brain to associate arousal and pleasure with a wider range of sensations, not just the intense, focused ones. This process takes time and patience. You might not see results immediately, and that's okay. Habits that have been ingrained over years won't disappear overnight. There might be times when you feel frustrated or when it doesn't seem to be working. That's normal. The important thing is consistency and perseverance. Keep practicing these new, gentler, more varied techniques. Over time, you are essentially rewiring your brain and nervous system, lowering that threshold of stimulation needed for a response. It's like physical therapy for your sexual response system. Just as you would do exercises repeatedly to strengthen a muscle or improve flexibility, you are practicing new ways of stimulating yourself to improve your sensitivity and responsiveness. Beyond the physical technique, consider the mental side of things. Are you relaxed? Are you allowing yourself to feel pleasure without pressure? Sometimes, incorporating mindfulness or relaxation techniques before or during masturbation can be helpful. This isn't about achieving a specific outcome. It's about reconnecting with your body and its sensations in a more natural, less demanding way. You might find it helpful to explore different positions or environments. Anything that breaks the automatic routine associated with the old habit. This isn't a quick fix, it's a journey. It requires dedication and a willingness to be uncomfortable as you move away from the familiar, albeit detrimental, habit. But the potential reward is significant: regaining sensitivity, broadening your capacity for pleasure, and improving your ability to achieve erections in a wider range of circumstances, including with a partner. This process can also reduce the anxiety that often builds when erections become unreliable. By taking control and actively working to retrain your system, you shift from feeling like a victim of your body to an active participant in improving your sexual health. It's about empowering yourself to change something that feels broken but might just be miscalibrated. It's a powerful shift in perspective. So, let's bring it all together. We've talked about this common, often unconscious, mistake during masturbation, the over-reliance on highly specific, intense stimulation, and how it can silently make it harder to get and keep erections by desensitizing your system and raising the bar for what's needed to get a response. We've explored how this happens through sensory adaptation and neural conditioning, essentially training your brain and penis to respond only to that maximum volume input. The good news, as we discussed, is that this is often a learned behavior, and learned behaviors can be changed. The path forward involves sensory retraining, consciously shifting your masturbation technique to be gentler, less specific, and more varied. This means reducing pressure, varying speed and rhythm, exploring different areas, and focusing on pleasure over just the end goal. It's about patiently teaching your body and brain to respond to a wider, more natural range of sensations again. Remember, you are not alone in experiencing changes in erectile function as you get older. It's a very common concern. And it's even more common for men to have unknowingly developed habits that contribute to the problem. This isn't a sign of failure. It's simply a physiological response to consistent, specific input. By understanding this mistake and taking steps to change your approach, you're not just addressing a symptom, you're working on the root cause of a specific type of erectile difficulty. It takes time, practice, and patience. Be kind to yourself throughout this process. There will be good days and challenging days. The goal is progress, not perfection. Small changes really can make a big difference in regaining sensitivity and improving your natural erectile function. This approach isn't a substitute for talking to your doctor about underlying health conditions that might affect erections, but it's a crucial piece of the puzzle that's often overlooked. Taking steps like these is about more than just sexual function. It's about maintaining a connection with your body, reducing anxiety surrounding intimacy, and continuing to experience pleasure and connection throughout your life. It's about living your best life at every age. If this information resonated with you, or if you've experienced something similar. Please share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Your insights could help someone else going through the same thing. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more information on men's health and well-being.